This book isn't meant for entertainment or for quoting in papers. It's designed as a framework based on clinical observations, historical records, rare texts, and hands-on experience, showing how the body responds directly to language without any metaphors. The idea is simple, but important. When people speak with clear focus and precise vibration, their words don't just describe reality, they actually shape the body itself. If this is true, not just as an idea, but as something you can see happening, then everything we say about ourselves, even in silence, causes real measurable changes inside us. For a long time, spirituality has mostly been treated as emotional comfort or moral support. This book starts somewhere very different. Here, language is treated like a living force, and the body is like a system that follows the commands of the words it holds. Illness, symptoms, and blockages aren't random mistakes, but logical responses to an inner language system that works even when we're not aware of it. The monk who passed down these teachings didn't want to teach dogma. Instead, he trained people to speak so precisely that they could change their own body, relationships, and future. No special rituals are needed, just the willingness to pay attention. If what's shared here doesn't show results in your own experience, you should set it aside. But if you start noticing how your everyday words shape your body, then you'll see yourself differently. You'll understand, without having to believe, that every word you say is like a command to the world about who you are. Chapter 1. The Body as Writer. How Language Shapes the Body and Health. Johann Weiss kept saying, "I'm a cursed man. My body is failing me. Every day I'm getting worse." This is from one of the most revealing parts of a manuscript linked to Paracelsus, where a powerful idea challenges modern medicine. The human body doesn't just react to chemicals or physical triggers. It literally follows the instructions given through meaningful language. The key point is clear. Cells don't understand metaphors. They respond to the vibrations of the exact words spoken, not to irony or hidden meanings. Johann's story might not be historically proven, but it's used by the author to introduce an idea far ahead of its time, one that connects with modern discoveries in epigenetics, brain immune system interactions, and the effects of negative speech on health. When Johann repeatedly said, "I am rotting," Paracelsus saw this not as despair, but as a biological command the body followed at the cellular level. For him, every organ silently obeyed these words, and disease was simply the body's faithful response to harmful commands said without awareness. From today's medical perspective, this law of the bodily word can be explained through the nervous system, especially the stress response system, that reacts to language signaling threat or defeat. When people say things like, "I give up," "This is killing me," or "My body betrays me," their bodies produce stress hormones and inflammation, disrupting natural rhythms. Studies show that people who often express hopelessness have higher risks of autoimmune diseases, brain decline, and stress-related cancers. In this sense, words aren't just symbols. They carry real biological instructions. While the old manuscript doesn't use modern science terms, its core idea matches what neuroscience tells us today. Strong emotions triggered by words create changes in metabolism that can cause illness. When Johann says, "My body betrays me," his cells don't judge the emotion, they just follow the command. Brain science confirms that emotions in language affect brain chemistry, which then impacts the body's tissues and organs. As the manuscript says, every word you speak, every thought you hold, every feeling you have becomes a direct instruction to your body. This idea is similar to what Dr. Emile Coué described in the 19th century as operant autosuggestion, although Paracelsus talked about it 300 years earlier as cells obeying commands. Coué's famous phrase, "I feel better and better," wasn't just positive thinking. It was a way to reprogram the body. What made Quay's method work was how patients said the phrase slowly, quietly, with calm breathing and steady heartbeats, so the body could fully absorb it. This may seem simple today, but it was clinically proven effective in France and Germany for people with psychosomatic illnesses. The key wasn't just the words, but the rhythm, focus, and confidence in speaking them, so the body could truly hear. Going back to Johann, Paracelsus describes a breathing ritual called the breath of the sacred word, meant to undo harmful cellular programming using breathing paired with healing affirmations. In his own words, every morning before the sun rose, Johann would sit facing it. He'd place his left hand on his heart and his right hand on his solar plexus. He'd take a deep breath, filling his belly first, then his chest, and finally his throat. With each breath in, he absorbed the morning energy. With each breath out, he released built-up emotional tension. This breathing pattern, similar to yogic pranayama, helps calm the nervous system, balance the body's rest state, and promote healing. The phrases he said while breathing weren't just simple positive thoughts. They were strong, present tense commands spoken firmly. My body is the perfect home for my eternal soul. Every cell in me vibrates in perfect harmony. My organs move in the rhythm of perfect health. These phrases work like new instructions for the body, replacing old, harmful beliefs like, I am falling apart, or my body is betraying me. If cells listen, they need new commands. This is the main idea here. Healing doesn't happen just by believing something. It happens by actively changing the internal program that controls the body. Ancient traditions already understood this. For example, in the Bible, Jesus called God Abba, a word showing close, trusting relationship. Saying this word in prayer helped early Christians feel deep peace, as shown in studies of medieval prayer practices. In Advaita Vedanta, the phrase neti neti, not this, not that, is used to clear away harmful self-ideas. The practitioner lets go of limiting beliefs like I am weak or I am limited, until they reach the silence of their true self. Greek magical texts also have healing formulas using divine names, rhythms, and repeated chanting paired with visualizations. These weren't just placebos. Using words with intention was a form of vibrational healing. The voice could change the body's energy and help heal illness. Today, modern cancer treatment uses similar ideas. Patients are guided to repeat phrases like, my immune system finds and removes damaged cells, while imagining their body healthy. Studies in hospitals in Houston and Heidelberg show that patients who do this recover better, need less pain medication, and have fewer relapses. What Paracelsus called the sealed word that rewrites cellular memory is now being studied in science, combining brain research and meditation. But not every word works. Paracelsus warned that the body only responds when commands are spoken with confidence, clarity, and feeling. Words said doubtfully or without meaning don't make a difference. This helps explain why positive affirmations often fail. They lack real feeling, routine, and focus. The body listens not to empty good wishes, but to commands with emotional power. To try this yourself, here's a simple 3-step exercise based on rewriting your inner script. 1. Notice. For 3 days, write down every automatic thing you say about your body, health, energy, or illness. Like, I'm so tired, or my stomach always hurts. 2. Rewrite. For each negative phrase, create a positive, clear command in the present tense, aimed at the body part involved. For example, my stomach digests everything calmly, or every cell in my digestive system supports my health. 3. Feel it. Say each new phrase during a full breath cycle, with your hands on the related organ or nerve area, every morning for a week. Pay attention to how your energy, sleep, mood, or pain changes. Before you start, ask yourself, what negative things do I say without thinking? How are these complaints actually instructions my body follows? What commands has my body been following all these years based on what I say? This idea might seem unusual if you think of the body as just a physical machine separate from the mind. But research and ancient wisdom suggest we are whole systems that obey the words we repeat. The words we say are like seeds that grow into our body's chemistry. Our bodies write in flesh the stories we tell ourselves silently. No treatment from outside can fix us if we don't first fix the internal commands we've been giving ourselves, one word at a time. Chapter 2. The Messenger Blood. How blood carries information, memory, and inner healing. In the second part of the manuscript linked to Paracelsus, we come across a scene that's both straightforward and unsettling. The Duchess Philippon, back from a diplomatic trip, cries out, "My blood is poisoned. No matter what I drink or how I pray, it's inside me." The monk copying the original didn't see this as just an emotional outburst, but as a powerful statement affecting her body. From that moment on, the Duchess showed worsening symptoms like damaged blood vessels, occasional immune problems, blood clotting issues, and overall sensitivity. The manuscript doesn't give a modern medical diagnosis, but makes it clear that her claim, "My blood is poisoned," was the starting point for all her health problems. This story introduces an important idea in Hermetic medicine. Blood isn't just a life-giving fluid or a way to carry oxygen. It's a subtle stream that carries not only nutrients and waste, but also signals, mental patterns, and emotional energy that can be stored in the blood itself. In alchemy, this was called the inner balm, and in Jewish mysticism, blood carries the nephesh, or lower soul. To understand this today, we have to think in modern scientific terms. Blood is made up of cells, red cells, white cells, and platelets, and a liquid part called plasma, which makes up more than half of blood's volume. Plasma carries not only salts, sugars, and proteins, but also a complex network of chemical messengers, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, molecules that control inflammation, brain chemicals that affect mood, and tiny packages called exosomes that can change how genes work in other cells. Basically, blood carries instructions that control things like inflammation, healing, defense, pain, sleep, hunger, emotions, and memory. When the Duchess said, "My blood is poisoned," she wasn't just saying she was sick. She was telling her body system to become sick. This is where the Hermetic principle comes in. By naming her blood poison, she sent that message deep into her body's systems that listen to ongoing inner talk. From a mind-body health perspective, believing she was toxic kept her stress response active, raised her cortisol levels, weakened her immune system's response to cortisol, leading to chronic inflammation, and shifted immune signals toward harmful patterns linked to autoimmune diseases, chronic tiredness, and mental decline. In other words, her blood started to reflect the message her words created. The manuscript also describes a healing method beyond just saying positive things. The Duchess was given a special vibratory name, Jaimase, to help her heal inside. The name didn't have a literal meaning, but worked like a symbolic key to change how she felt inside her body. She was told to whisper, "Jaimus," each morning while crossing her hands over her chest. This practice can be seen as a basic way to calm the nervous system through sound and intention. Recent science shows that steady, loving sounds activate parts of the brain that reduce stress and inflammation. The visual part was important too. The Duchess was asked to picture her blood as a glowing, golden river flowing through her body. cleaning her organs, tissues, and even her thoughts. This wasn't just imagining. It was a mind-body technique to change how she felt about her own toxicity. Brain scans today show that guided visualizations using colors, temperature, and movement can actually change the nervous system, like improving heart rate variability, relaxing blood vessels, and affecting immune function through brain-immune connections. The idea of golden blood isn't just poetic. It's a meaningful symbol that, practiced every day, reshapes how the person's body maps itself internally. Spiritual traditions have known this for a long time. In Leviticus it says, "For the life of the flesh is in the blood." Leviticus 17:11. People have misunderstood this for centuries as just a ritual rule, but it actually contains a deep spiritual truth. Blood carries the soul in a physical form. In Kabbalah, this soul part is called the nephesh. The soul lives in the blood, moves with it, and leaves when the blood becomes corrupted. The Zohar even says that bad thoughts pollute your blood and delay the soul's healing. So, in Kabbalistic traditions, cleaning the blood was essential for reaching higher awareness. In Islamic prophetic medicine, there's talk about keeping blood pure by eating certain foods, controlling emotions, and fasting thoughtfully. The Prophet Muhammad said, "The liver is the caliph of the blood, but the heart is its ruler." This means the heart, our conscious will, guides the blood. If the heart is in harmony, the blood carries that harmony. If the heart is corrupted, the blood becomes a messenger of that corruption. Ancient Egyptians called the bloodstream the Nile of the body. Their funerary rituals included prayers to protect this inner river from being spoiled by enemies' words. Medical texts from Egypt's Middle Kingdom included formulas asking for a pure heart to refresh the body's inner flow, showing how, for them, pure words and healthy blood flow were deeply connected. Even in ancient Greco-Roman medicine, people understood that blood could be changed not just by climate or diet, but by emotions. Galen wrote, "Constant fear chills the blood. Anger makes it boil. Grief turns it black." Although they didn't have today's science, these ideas show old, tested knowledge passed down through thousands of years. Blood reacts to the soul. Today, research in psychosomatic blood health has found that people with long-term emotional disorders, like major depression, PTSD, or anxiety, show consistent changes in their blood. Fewer regulatory T cells, more inflammation-causing monocytes, and imbalances in iron and proteins linked to inflammation, even when there's no active infection. What was once called emotionally sick blood can now be confirmed by lab tests. Based on this, the grimoire suggests a 21-day ritual to help protect and heal the blood, with 4 daily steps. 1. Right after waking, say the special name Jaimes clearly and with intention while placing your hands on your chest. 2. Spend 5 to 7 minutes imagining your blood as golden, glowing liquid flowing through your body. 3. Say out loud, "I consecrate my blood to the order of health, divine memory, and inner purity." 4. Keep a daily journal to track how you feel, your energy, sleep, mental focus, and overall body sensations. It's a good idea to use a notebook to record any changes you notice. This practice isn't meant to replace medical care, but it can support your body's natural healing by connecting your mind, body, and spirit. Now, think about your own blood work. What story do you carry about your family, your health history, or bad veins? What messages about your body have you heard since childhood? Do doctors or family members repeat ideas that your body has accepted as truth without question? Because if blood listens and responds, everything we say about it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This chapter doesn't try to replace medical science. Instead, it reminds us of a forgotten truth. Blood isn't just a liquid. It's a message. Name it in a certain way, and you help shape what it becomes. Chapter 3: How Emotions Affect the Body. Holding in feelings, inflammation, and turning inner poison into healing. In the middle parts of the manuscript linked to Paracelsus's later followers, the story of Doña Catalina de Mendoza stands out with clear medical and spiritual details that go beyond her visible symptoms. This noble woman, known for being quiet and reserved, developed strange sores on her torso and back. These sores moved around her body each week without following any clear pattern or infection. The court doctors said her condition was caused by humoral congestion from deep sadness, while the monks who cared for her spiritually noted something important. Catalina holds back her anger. She doesn't speak, but inside she burns. Saying someone burns in silence might sound like a figure of speech, but it actually points to real physical effects of holding in emotions. Keeping emotions inside is not the same as feeling nothing. In our bodies, holding in feelings creates pressure. That pressure doesn't just disappear. It changes how the body works on a chemical level. Anger that isn't expressed doesn't go away. It gets stored in the body's tissues and eventually causes physical problems. The manuscript explains this emotional law using symbolic language, but in modern terms it means constant emotional repression leads to ongoing stress responses, high cortisol levels, activation of immune cells, inflammation, increased tissue sensitivity, and damage to multiple organs. This process is complicated but self-reinforcing. Doña Catalina didn't just feel anger. She also felt guilty about feeling anger, which made her hold it in even more. This made the inflammation worse and spread to organs like her liver, intestines, and skin. Modern science has confirmed that people who have trouble expressing emotions, like those with somatization disorders or alexithymia, show ongoing changes in inflammation markers and stress hormones. These changes reflect not only mood, but a pattern where unexpressed emotions become harmful physical conditions. The manuscript describes this process as the poison of the soul dripping through the tissues like black resin. This symbolic image has parallels in ancient religious texts like the Book of Enoch, which talks about fallen beings causing a burning fire in people's bones that slowly turns their bodies to poison. This idea might refer to old, deep anger that doesn't destroy quickly but builds up and changes the body over time. In Tibetan medicine, this is called perturbed ar lung, meaning disturbed vital energy or life force. Perturbed ar lung is related to movement, thought, and emotion energy. When strong feelings like anger, sadness, or fear are kept inside for too long, this energy gets tangled and causes symptoms like internal heat, insomnia, moving sores, and physical problems that don't respond well to regular treatments. The traditional cure isn't medicine, but rituals and body practices, rhythmic movement, controlled sounds, writing down feelings, and symbolically letting the emotion go. Back in the manuscript, Doña Catalina started to heal when the monk caring for her suggested something bold for that time. She had to name her anger clearly. The instructions said, "Tell me who you're angry at and why." She refused for a week, then finally said, "I burn against Don Inigo for what he did to my sister. I wanted to hurt him, but I held it back." Saying this simple sentence immediately changed her breathing, face color, and the sores on her body. They stopped moving and began to heal. What happened can be explained by brain science. Naming an emotion clearly changes how the brain processes it. Using specific words activates parts of the brain that calm down the emotional centers, lowering stress and physical reactions. This labeling technique in psychology helps reduce emotional stress, blood pressure, and nervous system overreaction in people dealing with trauma, fears, or chronic pain. It's not about telling the whole story over and over. It's about clearly naming what you feel. The manuscript turns this idea into a practical exercise called organ release, which combines 3 steps. Find the spot where the emotion is stored, say the feeling out loud, and replace it with something new. In this ritual, the person puts a hand on the part of the body where the emotion lives and quietly says the feeling and its cause. For example, burning anger toward my mother for not protecting me, or dull pain from being abandoned without goodbye. The body is treated like a partner in healing, not just something to fix. The emotion needs to be spoken out loud exactly as it was originally felt, without hiding it, softening it, or judging it. Once you name it, you give yourself permission to let it go. This release can happen through talking, a symbolic scream, moving your body, shaking, putting pressure on a spot, stretching, or free writing that you won't read again. The goal isn't to analyze or explain the feeling, but simply to let it out. After that, you say a positive statement in the present tense, clearly and firmly, to start producing the opposite chemicals in your body, like saying, "Activate now the compounds of peace in my glands, my bones, my stomach." This might sound unusual, but it's actually connected to techniques that help your body make feel-good chemicals like oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. These techniques include mindful touch, deep breathing through the nose, and imagining calming scenes. You need to do this full process every day for 40 days because it takes about that long for your body to start changing on a deep level. Research shows that 6-week routines can create lasting changes in how your genes work, how you feel emotions, and how your body handles inflammation. For Catalina, her sores stopped by day 33. There's no proof that the number 40 has any mystical meaning, although the manuscript calls it the Day of Reversal. What really matters is that this practice isn't about just thinking positive thoughts or forgiving quickly. It's about actually changing the poison inside you through 3 key steps: being honest with your emotions, expressing them in a controlled way, and saying a healing statement. As a simple exercise, ask yourself, what feelings have I held inside for years without naming? What exact words would I shout if I knew I couldn't get in trouble? Which part of my body has hurt the most from holding those feelings in? What names have I never said? What events have I never told honestly? The poison isn't what others did to you, it's what you keep inside without changing. This chapter isn't about letting emotions run wild or forcing yourself to block pain. It's about emotional alchemy, a way to heal your body. When you name the fire inside, it stops burning secretly, and when you give it shape, you can turn it into something that helps you grow. Chapter 4. Invisible Structure, Sacred Geometry, Morphogenetic Fields, and Reorganizing the Body and Mind. The story of Friedrich B., found in the hidden notes of the Basel Dreimorium, is a mysterious but eye-opening example of how our body's shape, trauma, and function connect. Friedrich was a young apprentice engraver who, after a heated and painful argument with his father, what the text calls a break in the masculine axis, lost the ability to move his left arm and leg. Doctors found no damage to his spine or nerves, but his paralysis lasted for months. Then a monk physician stepped in. Instead of just testing his muscles, the monk focused on what he called a break in the inner geometric pattern. This idea, unusual back then, comes from a Hermetic teaching in the manuscript. Illness is a distortion of geometry, and the body only works properly when it follows the divine proportion. While this might sound like a spiritual metaphor, It actually lines up surprisingly well with modern science, like embryology, fractal patterns in nature, and Rupert Sheldrake's idea of morphogenetic fields. Sheldrake's theory suggests that living forms are shaped not just by genes, but also by invisible fields that organize growth and healing. Though some scientists doubt this, certain things, like how some tissues regenerate or how posture remembers trauma, aren't fully explained just by molecules. For Friedrich, the monk didn't give him herbs or religious punishments. Instead, he told Friedrich to lie on his back and imagine his spine as a ladder of light. Each bone was pictured as a glowing sphere connected to its neighbors by slowly turning blue spirals. The practice started at the base of his spine and moved up, vertebra by vertebra, until reaching the problem area. There, using his good hand, Friedrich traced an imaginary circle on his skin while saying, "Restore the design, reclaim the form, reactivate obedience." Doing this every day for 3 weeks, he gradually regained movement, a recovery that records say wasn't just luck or placebo. From a brain science view, this is an example of guided motor imagery. Imagining movement activates brain pathways for movement control, even if the body doesn't move. Studies show that thinking about moving a paralyzed limb can activate the same brain areas as actual movement, especially when paired with touch or visual cues. What makes the monk's ritual unique is using geometric shapes, circles, triangles, spirals, pentagons, as healing tools, each linked to a body system. Circles for digestion, triangles for hormones, pentagons for immunity, and spirals for nerve healing. This isn't superstition. Our body's anatomy follows real geometric patterns. The golden ratio, 1.618, shows up in heart valves, the inner ear, and finger bones. The heart itself has a spiral muscle design, discovered by Francisco Torrent Guasp, meaning it contracts like a twisted rope, not just pumping straight. The same spiral happens in breathing, with the diaphragm moving in a twist that creates donut-shaped energy fields, which may influence the nervous system and body awareness. When the manuscript talks about distorted geometry, it means more than bad posture or visible misalignment. It means the body's vibrational pattern is out of sync. This matches Harold Saxon Burr's 1940s research on electrical patterns in living things, which showed every organism has a life field that guides its shape and growth. When that field is broken by trauma, strong emotions, or constant negative words, the body's shape and function suffer. Health means this field is in harmony. Illness means it's chaotic. Research on heart rate variability supports this. Calm emotions create smooth, regular heart rhythms, while stress causes chaotic ones. Since the heart talks to the brain through the vagus nerve, fixing the heart's shape, breathing, or emotional rhythm helps reset the body and mind. In Friedrich's case, the treatment from the Drimorium was called the geometric reset. Here's how it works. 1. Conscious posture check. The patient looks at their body in a mirror or stands still to notice any unevenness, tension, or stuck spots. 2. Air tracing. Using a finger, the patient slowly draws geometric shapes in the air near each big joint while saying healing phrases. 3. Skin tracing. The same shapes are gently drawn on the skin, following the body's natural curves, as if redrawing its original form. 4. Sensory focus and declaration. Finally, the patient says out loud, "Restore my original design. Unfold divine proportion in my tissues. Obey the sacred plan," while practicing focused breathing to strengthen the intention. The grimoire connects this practice to ancient diagrams like Hindu yantras, which have been used for healing, meditation, and reorganizing internal energy. The Shariyantra, for example, is made of interlocking triangles that represent the balance of opposite forces coming together at the center of the soul. These shapes weren't just symbols. They were seen as actual structures. Looking at them was believed to cause real changes in the body's vital energy field and, as a result, the body itself. In a similar way, Hebrew Kabbalah uses the Tree of Life, with its 10 sephirot and 22 connecting paths. This isn't just a spiritual map. It also corresponds to parts of the human body. For example, Geburah lines up with the liver, Tiferet with the heart, and Yesod with the reproductive organs. Mystical teachers would trace these paths over the body with their hands to unblock energy. In the Christian tradition, medieval cathedral designs worked like architectural mandalas meant to help with meditation and inner reorganization. The layout of Chartres Cathedral, for instance, follows the golden ratio, and its central rose window features geometric patterns designed as visual meditations. While geometry might seem like just an art, the grimoire teaches that it's really a kind of medicine for the invisible body. A modern example shows how powerful this can be. A 43-year-old woman with a partial spinal injury from a car accident had lost control of her legs. After months without progress, she started using structured motor imagery combined with focused geometry, imagining downward triangles over her hips, circles over her knees, spirals on her ankles, and vertical lines running from her lower back to the top of her head, all timed with her breathing. Within 6 weeks, she regained some feeling and limited movement, enough to begin a new phase of physical therapy. Her improvement matched brain activity changes seen in scans and better heart rate patterns. This isn't about ignoring science, it's about broadening it. The body responds to form, not because of superstition, but because form is vibrational order, and vibration sends instructions to living tissue. When someone corrects their internal geometry, they don't just improve posture, they reorganize their body systems to follow the sacred design that once kept them whole. Chapter 5. The Heart as an Electromagnetic Altar. Moral Balance, Bioelectricity, and Energy Sharing. The story of Lorenzo de' Medici, a 15th century Florentine banker known for both generous hospital donations and harsh loans during plague times, is recorded in the Codex Regula Corporis as an example of inner conflict. This isn't just a moral story. It describes a real physical condition called the heart's electromagnetic dissonance. Lorenzo said his heart was like a temple built for two opposing forces. After his charitable acts, he experienced sharp heart palpitations, trouble syncing his breathing, and a feeling of emotional split. The manuscript describes this as his body's energy field being disrupted by mixed intentions. Though described in old-fashioned terms, this matches what modern science calls cardiac incoherence, an irregular heart rate pattern linked to ongoing emotional or moral conflict. Heart rate variability, HRV, isn't just a number. It shows how well the nervous system adapts to stress and demands. When HRV is smooth and rhythmic, it means calm, emotional balance, and inner harmony. But when someone struggles between what they do and what they truly believe, their HRV becomes irregular, showing stress without a way to let go. Beyond pumping blood, the heart has its own nervous system with about 40,000 neurons, sometimes called the heart brain. It talks back and forth with the main brain, especially emotional centers, through the vagus nerve. The heart also creates the strongest electromagnetic field in the body, 60 to 100 times stronger than the brain's, which can be measured several feet away. This means the heart's state, how balanced and clear its intentions are, affects both the body and people nearby. Recent studies show that when two people are close, their heart rhythms can sync up without them realizing it. One person's heart coherence can influence the others, especially in close or trusting relationships. In the manuscript, Lorenzo's healing ritual is called the Purification of the Altar. It starts with openly naming moral conflicts, not as religious punishment, but as a way to release emotional tension. The idea is that recognizing your inner conflicts helps clear energy disruptions. This naming can be done alone, through writing, speaking aloud privately, or reflecting thoughtfully. The key is to consciously acknowledge the inner struggle. Next is syncing your breath with your heartbeat. The grimoire says, "Listen to your pulse as a sacred drum. Let your breath follow its beat." This is similar to modern resonance breathing, where you breathe in tune with your heart to create harmony. This practice helps with anxiety, high blood pressure, and fatigue. The ideal breathing rate is about 5 to 6 breaths per minute. Inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, which helps activate calming nerve responses. The final step is a spoken affirmation to treat the heart as the center of morals and energy. Placing the right hand over the chest, the person says, "I give coherence to my altar." All action responds to unity. This simple phrase acts like a mental and physical anchor. Studies show that people who do this while practicing coherent breathing have steadier heart rhythms and lower stress hormones like cortisol and blood pressure. The saying, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God," Matthew 5:8, often seen as a moral rule, was understood by early Christian monks as a description of heart coherence that allows a direct connection with the divine. Their prayer of the heart, "Lord Jesus, have mercy on me," used focused breathing and attention on the chest to create expanded awareness, emotional clarity, and connection with others. In Islam, the qalb, heart, is seen not just as the emotional center, but as the seat of deep knowledge. The scholar Al-Ghazal wrote that true understanding only lives in a pure heart, and when the heart is clouded by conflicting desires, it leads to sickness, sleeplessness, tiredness, sexual problems, and loss of purpose. From an energy medicine view, this cloudiness is field noise. A coherent heart field acts like a carrier wave for other body systems, hormonal, immune, and nervous. When the wave is steady, these systems work together. When it's chaotic, the whole system gets confused. The manuscript says this causes the altar to falter, and with it the temple's whole ritual. One way to restore coherence is through a personal ethics check, not to judge, but to honestly look for ongoing conflicts between your values and actions. For example, someone who talks about generosity but secretly resents others, or who promotes health but harms their body. Each conflict should be written down, named, accepted, and replaced by a small action that matches true values, not as punishment, but to realign. The grimoire also suggests keeping a relational field journal for 7 days, noting how your inner state affects your interactions. Watch without judging if conversations flow or get tense, and if emotional or physical connection builds or breaks. This shows how your heart's energy influences others. A balanced heart brings harmony. A divided heart causes confusion. Finally, there's a daily heart consecration ritual. Right after waking, before looking at screens, sit quietly, close your eyes, feel your pulse, and breathe along with it. Place a hand on your chest and say, "I consecrate this day to alignment. All in me will be one." This simple act doesn't just have symbolic meaning. It activates your calming nervous system, lowers your resting heart rate, and starts your day with balanced heart rhythms, improving focus, emotional memory, and kindness. The heart is an altar because it sends, receives, and organizes, not just as a metaphor. but in a real physical way. Keeping it balanced means maintaining a working temple inside you. Splitting it with conflicting intentions starts a war of energies that prevents true peace. Chapter 6. Breath as a bridge between soul and body. Rhythms, centers, and healing after trauma. Margarita, a patient described in an old healing manuscript, developed a breathing problem after a traumatic experience as a teenager, a moment the text calls breath's arrest. Since then, she would sometimes stop breathing briefly without any physical blockage, breathe too fast when reminded of the trauma, and freeze her breath whenever she faced any man in authority. The manuscript explains this pattern as her soul pulling away from her body every time fear took her breath away. This case highlights an important idea often missed in today's spiritual practices. Breath isn't just about getting oxygen. It connects our body, emotions, and mind. Breathing actually controls how our nervous system balances stress and relaxation, affects heart rate patterns, brain activity, and the calming vagus nerve. From a spiritual view, breath is like God's gift to humans. As the ancient Corpus Hermeticum says, the breath you received isn't just air, but a gift from the source of all cycles. Physically, breathing works in two main ways: how deep and how rhythmic it is. Deep belly breathing, where your stomach expands as you inhale, activates your body's relaxation system, slows your heart, calms your nerves, and helps you regulate your emotions. This kind of breathing is normal in healthy babies, experienced meditators, and during deep sleep. On the other hand, shallow chest breathing, common in people under chronic stress or trauma, reduces carbon dioxide in the blood, lowers blood flow to the brain, tightens chest muscles, and keeps the body stuck in threat mode. Margarita's records show that after her trauma, she breathed shallowly with no belly movement, and her heart and lungs were out of sync. The manuscript says, "The body doesn't feel safe, and the soul won't come back because the temple stays closed." Though this is described poetically, it fits with modern science, showing how awareness of your breath connects your body and mind. To help rebuild this connection, the manuscript suggests practicing 4 special breathing techniques found in many traditions, like Vedic pranayama, Chinese qigong, Christian prayer rhythms, and newborn care methods. 1. Root breath. A deep breath toward the base of the spine, activating the lower body and feelings of safety, similar to yoga's pranayama or Taoist breath of earth. This breath helps calm the brain's threat response and creates a sense of security. Studies with babies show that syncing their breathing with caregivers helps brain development and temperature control. 2. Crown rise breath. Breathing air gently upward to the top of the head, following the body's vertical line. This breath, used in practices like Sushumna pranayama or monastic breath prayers, helps shift awareness from the body to the mind, easing traumatic memories. Brain scans show this breath activates restful brain networks and lowers threat responses. 3. Expansion breath. Focused on opening the chest to the sides and back, this breath supports openness and compassion. It's linked to the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, heart rate balance, and better social connection. Ancient Sufi texts say those who breathe with an open chest welcome higher spiritual energy. Physically, it relaxes the chest muscles holding tension from stress. 4. Integration breath. A smooth cycle combining the root, chest, and crown breaths. This advanced practice is used in trauma healing to connect the brain, heart, and gut, improve nervous system balance, and calm brain areas involved in focus and emotion. The manuscript advises practicing these breaths twice a day, at least 7 minutes each time, ideally at sunrise and sunset. Keep a journal noting sleep quality, dreams, feelings of safety, chest mobility, and fewer breath-holding episodes. It warns, don't breathe as if it's a burden, but as a promise. Don't just survive. Breathe to live fully. Modern studies with veterans show that slow breathing, 6-8 breaths per minute, reduces PTSD symptoms, improves heart rate variability, and normalizes sleep. Focused breathing not only changes the body but helps bring the soul back into the body by creating a stable sense of being. You can start this process by asking yourself simple questions, not to find quick answers, but to tap into your body's memory. When do you hold your breath around authority? What memories come with that feeling? What images appear when you breathe fully into your belly? When, during the day, do you breathe freely, without tension? Your body can't truly be lived in without breath, and your soul can't settle in a body that breathes as if it's dying. Healing happens not just in your feelings, but in the breath that supports them. Restoring your natural breathing is not just a technique, it's reclaiming your inner power. Chapter 7. The Power of the Spoken Word. Intentional voice, larynx vibration, and healing orders for tissue repair. Hans Merman started losing vision in his right eye by age 54. Eye exams didn't find any clear physical problems, but his symptoms, narrowed vision, blurry sight, and sensitivity to light, were very real. In his personal journal, recorded in an old medical text, there's a turning point. After moving to a Swiss monastery in the winter of 1893, he began every morning at dawn to say the same focused phrase with strong intention. I am the light that illuminates my own eyes. My cells see because my soul is ignited. Weeks later, he wrote a letter saying his vision had improved. Though this story wasn't medically proven and was mostly considered a legend, the manuscript keeps it as an example of the difference between mindless talking and powerful, intentional speech. This chapter dives into how focused vocalizing can actually help heal the body, showing it's not just positive thinking or simple self-suggestion, but a mix of body, meaning, vibration, and attention. The key idea is that the body doesn't just react to the words themselves, but to how those words are said, and especially where inside you the words come from. From a brain science view, making steady, meaningful sounds, especially low tones and open vowels, stimulates the vagus nerve through its connection to the voice box. This triggers the release of calming chemicals, lowers stress hormones, slows heart rate, and activates the relaxation system, all of which help the body repair itself. Modern studies show that singing or intentional vocal vibration can reduce pain and speed up healing after surgery. But the vibrations don't only affect the nervous system. Our bodies have many parts sensitive to these vibrations, like connective tissues, nerve clusters, and cavities in the skull. When you hum with your mouth closed and direct the sound toward your head, as in the Brahmari breathing technique, the vibration resonates in the sinuses and calms emotional centers in the brain. This kind of ritual chanting isn't superstition. It's about using internal vibrations to change how we perceive things, focus our attention, and even influence immune system responses, like increasing anti-inflammatory signals. Hans Merman's daily practice, even if he didn't know it, included all these important elements. He spoke rhythmically with full emotional focus in the present tense and timed it with dawn, an important moment many ancient cultures believed was a powerful time for transformation. For example, Zoroastrian teachings say you must speak before the sun fully rises for your words to take shape in the sacred fire. Similar ideas appear in Hebrew prayers and Vedic morning chants, all emphasizing the moment between darkness and light. From these ideas, the manuscript breaks down speech into 13 levels. Dormant word means repeating phrases without attention or feeling. They don't change anything physically, like saying, "I hope things go well," without really meaning it. Awakened word is when you say something with some awareness but without full body connection or rhythm, like reading affirmations correctly but without real feeling. The ignited word comes from a deep, centered place inside you with full focus, body awareness, breath control, and tone tuned to the environment. This is the speech that can truly create change. This idea is similar to Viktor Frankl's logotherapy, which says people need meaning to survive hardship, and this meaning comes from internal language that shapes our experience. But Frankl missed the physical and vibrational side of words. This chapter goes further. When spoken with full intention, words don't just give meaning, they also influence your body's chemistry. Modern research on hypnosis and healing supports this. For example, a 2002 study showed that patients recovering from surgery healed faster and felt less pain when guided by hypnotic speech, synchronized with their breathing. The words worked as commands to the body. The manuscript suggests a 30-day exercise called the light experiment. Every morning before opening your eyes, say slowly and clearly, "I am the light that illuminates my own eyes." Speak it with full focus, in a low, steady voice, while imagining the light reaching your eyes and the back of your head. Keep a short journal during the month, noting changes in your vision, colors, sharpness, depth, light sensitivity, any physical sensations, head tension, eye discomfort, fatigue, and emotional feelings, clarity, inner brightness. You might not see immediate results, but over time this practice can reshape how your mind and body communicate. The manuscript says you must ignite the word until your body remembers it can respond. You can start by making a 24-hour verbal hygiene plan with 3 simple steps. First, notice and write down every negative or unclear phrase you say to yourself. Second, sort these phrases into 3 categories: dormant, awakened, or ignited. Third, replace each one with a clear positive phrase in the present tense, spoken with purpose and steady rhythm. For example, if you automatically say, "I see no way out of this," try saying instead, "I am seeing the clear path ahead," said calmly while focusing on your eyes and breathing deeply from your diaphragm. Finally, you have to truly believe the new phrase for it to take effect. Positive change doesn't just happen on its own. It grows through repeated practice under the right body and mind conditions. Words come alive when your body is ready to connect with them. Chapter 8. Unified Consciousness, Identity, Masks, and System Change, or Rano Roll. In the private archives of the Abbey of Saint-Hilaire, there's an old case once labeled female hysteria that now shows an important connection between mind and body. Isabelle de Montmorency, the youngest daughter of a noble family, began visiting the monastery more and more from age 27. She described experiencing soul shifts. In her preserved letters, she wrote, "I have 7 different women inside me, each wanting control at different times. My body isn't sick by accident, but because it's confused about who I really am." The records describe sudden drops in blood pressure, temporary loss of voice, headaches that moved from one side of her head to the other, and missed periods with no obvious medical cause. What stood out most was how her symptoms changed depending on which role she was playing that day. The obedient daughter, the secret lover, the penitent, the healer, the ideal mother, the religious martyr, and an unknown other. Each had its own voice, posture, breathing pattern, and, according to the monks, even a distinct smell. What was once seen as mysterious can now be understood as the body reacting to conflicting identities. The body's nervous, hormonal, and immune systems respond not only to physical triggers, but also to the commands from these different identities in the mind. When these identities clash, the body's automatic nervous system gets caught in a tug of war. Some roles cause the body to shut down energy, while others ramp up stress, causing problems like high blood pressure, stomach issues, or trouble sleeping. This idea isn't new. In ancient Gnostic teachings, a saying from Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas goes, "When you expel what is inside you, it will save you. If not, it will destroy you." Some early interpreters saw this as a warning about the many internal selves that block us from our true unified self. It's not about being possessed by demons, but about getting stuck wearing too many masks that take over your core identity. Neoplatonist philosophers like Plotinus and Porphyry talked about the limen, a core inner self that guides life when it's not overshadowed by social or family roles. Problems arise when these roles suppress the limen, triggering physical symptoms and mental splitting. Today, a similar idea is in internal family systems, IFS therapy by Richard Schwartz, which sees the mind as made of many parts, but also a central self that can bring them together. However, IFS doesn't fully explain how these conflicting parts cause physical symptoms, or how each mask affects the body. This guide aims to fill that gap, helping you identify, talk to, free, and integrate these parts without leaving behind physical problems. The first step, kept safe in the monasteries of Consecration, is to recognize your main masks. This isn't done by quick reflection or general meditation, but through a specific exercise. For 7 days, write non-stop without editing the question, "Who am I when no one's watching me?" and let the answers come naturally. At the same time, pay attention to which body parts tense or relax as each role comes up. New aches, changes in digestion, or trouble sleeping at certain times. Once you know your main masks, start a real conversation with each one, speaking out loud in its voice, in private, letting it explain its purpose, pain, and when it first appeared. Many masks form after trauma. The obedient child from public shame, the family caretaker from money struggles, the mother who gave up her own dreams to follow others' demands. Each has its own reason. The goal isn't to get rid of them, but to send them back to their origin. Things from the past that don't need to happen again. You'll need a safe space, an empty chair to imagine the mask sitting there, and follow 3 steps. Recognize, thank, and let go. The last step strengthens your core self through body awareness, quiet time, and careful speech. One powerful phrase Isabel wrote before leaving the world was, "My heart no longer beats for foreign roles, but for the self I've always been." Saying this every morning for 21 days helps reshape your inner life. It's not just a positive thought, but a command to your heart, the center of deep, direct knowing in many spiritual traditions. This process shows real changes in the body, so keep a daily log of things like sleep quality, digestion, headaches, menstrual cycle, energy, and mood as you release these masks. Tracking this helps you see how certain roles drain specific organs. Changing family roles is especially tough. That's why this guide offers a transition plan. You don't disappear from your social roles, but you show up as a whole, unified self, not broken into masks. You might still be a child, partner, or worker, but from a solid inner core, not from learned roles that hurt your body. Before important events, try this quick practice. Take 3 slow breaths, focus on your chest, and silently ask, "Which mask am I about to speak from?" In the end, Isabel's healing wasn't about curing symptoms, but about stepping back from her masks. When the soul breaks into many parts, the body gets confused and falls ill. Being a unified self isn't just spiritual. It's essential for your body's health. Multiple identities don't add richness. They create noise. and the soul can't sing if it has to share its breath among 7 masks. Chapter 9. Nourishing Light, Soul Fasting, Vibrational Cleansing, and Subtle Energy. Sister Arata hadn't eaten bread since spring of 1724. The convent doctor at Saint-Bayon kept records showing her weight stayed mostly steady during a fast that lasted over 60 days, during which she only drank water and small amounts of blessed oil. While 19th century scientists dismiss these records as religious superstition, the grimoire keeps both the physical data and Arata's personal diaries describing a steady inner energy, like a fire burning beneath her chest. She wrote, "My spirit nourishes my body. The hidden fire is enough." Her case can't be explained by normal nutrition or just as a mind-body issue. It shows a forgotten truth. Humans can get energy beyond just physical food, and fasting isn't only about going without. It's about clearing and purifying the body's energy channels. Today, we usually think metabolism means breaking down food into energy through chemicals, but that's not the full picture. Human cells, especially mitochondria, react not only to chemicals but also to light, heat, and electromagnetic signals. Research on biophotonics shows that living cells give off light, called biophotons, which carry important messages for healing and communication in the body. These aren't wasted energy, but signals. Like other mystics such as Teresa Neumann and Martha Roba, Arata kept her energy not through regular food, but by focusing her attention to pull energy from more subtle sources. Many traditions say the solar plexus, the nerve center near the stomach, is where this subtle energy is received. Taoists call it the Dantian. Christian mystics describe it as a spirit fire that burns without using fuel, like the flame in Exodus. Hermetic teachings describe this spot as an antenna for astral light, an intelligent energy that fills everything and responds to focused will. During long fasts, the solar plexus relaxes because digestion slows, making it easier to sense these subtle energies. Physically, fasting causes the body to switch fuel sources. As glucose runs low and liver stores empty, the body uses ketones instead. This isn't a crisis, but a special state that allows processes like autophagy, where cells clean out damaged parts, and mitochondrial biogenesis, making new, more efficient energy producers in cells. These changes affect the brain too. Thinking becomes clearer, emotions calm, and people often feel more connected to their bodies. Spiritual fasting isn't just giving up food. It's tuning the body to a different kind of nourishment. Medieval mystics and Eastern Christian hermits practiced partial fasts not to seek miracles, but to quiet the body enough to sense these subtle energies. Similar ideas appear in breatharian training, where people learn to live on sunlight, air energy, and earth vibrations instead of food. These aren't just old myths. They match some modern research on light-based nutrition, though this science is still new and not widely accepted. The key to all this is focused awareness. Eating, or not eating, means little without shifting how you see your body as a receiver of higher energies. Fasting doesn't create miracles by itself, but it opens the door for a different kind of metabolism, one based on vibrational harmony, not just burning fuel. The grimoire suggests a 3-step fasting plan to do this safely. Preparation: 7 days. Gradually cut back meals and remove sugar, coffee, and emotionally charged foods tied to guilt or anxiety. Drink gentle teas like linden or chamomile. Pray focusing on the solar plexus and say each morning, "My soul remembers other sources of nourishment." Keep a journal tracking physical hunger, emotional hunger, cravings not related to energy, and your thoughts when not eating. Main phase: 3 days. If needed, do a medically supervised liquid fast, drinking only water or herbal teas. You might have headaches, tiredness, or irritability. Rest actively. This isn't a time to push yourself, but to reflect inwardly. Meditate on your navel area. Imagine white or golden light entering, and repeat Arata's phrase, "My spirit nourishes my body." Keep prayers short, rhythmic, and focus on your breath. Reintegration, 7 days. Slowly start eating natural foods again, paying close attention to each bite. Mentally thank the food, think about where it came from, and notice your feelings. Write about how you relate to food, what memories come up, and any judgments you notice. This process isn't right for everyone. If you have health problems, eating disorders, or are physically weak, you should only try it with guidance from a doctor or professional. What really matters isn't how long you fast, but how aware and present you are while doing it. Some people might fast for just 2 days and experience a big change, while others could fast longer and still feel stuck. Arata's goal wasn't to show off her holiness or willpower, but to teach her body to remember that the spirit can affect the physical world. Energy doesn't come only from food. It also comes from your thoughts, feelings, images, and most importantly, from silence. In one of her last letters, she didn't talk about avoiding death, but about remembering that I breathe because I am condensed sunlight. Fasting didn't make her invisible or magical. It helped her get back to her natural state, a body that listens to the soul because the soul no longer follows fear, habit, or outside demands. Chapter 10. Dying and Being Reborn. Nightly Renewal. Perfect Patterns, and Conscious Longevity. Cornelius van Bergen stopped fearing death the night he truly learned how to sleep. At 63, after surviving 2 heart surgeries, he said his real healing began when he accepted that each night he must die consciously. In his diary, written in a mix of Dutch and ritual Latin, he called his method Nocturna Transfiguratio Subsilio. It wasn't just rest or pause, but a precise ritual to undo his mistakes and rebuild his body invisibly, following what he called the perfect internal form, based on a damaged manuscript from the Deventer Monastery. Sleep isn't just a time to rest. It's the main time when the body repairs itself, activates deep healing patterns, and manages longevity through hidden internal systems. Sleeping is more like a nightly reprogramming session. To influence it, you need awareness, intention, and precise focus. During the deep sleep phase, called N3, the body releases the most growth hormone, which helps repair tissue, fix tiny damages, build proteins, and keep the immune system strong. The immune system also stores memory during this phase, and the brain gets cleaned out by the glymphatic system, which removes waste built up during the day. What most people don't realize is that these processes can be helped or hurt depending on your mental and emotional state when you fall asleep. Every night, Van Bergen practiced a silent ritual using guided imagery, imagining his body dissolving into light, sinking into silence, and quietly saying his inner name. This triggered a deep relaxation response, slowing his heart, loosening his muscles, activating the vagus nerve, and lowering stress hormones. This not only helped him fall into deep sleep, but also got his body ready to receive what he called the nightly re-imprinting of the original pattern, restoring his true internal shape despite the damage from daily life. Imagery of the body dissolving shows up in many spiritual traditions. It's based on the idea that the body can't fully heal while stuck in its broken parts. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle symbolized this process of dying and being reborn, and the god Khepri was shown pushing the sun, symbolizing ongoing, unseen transformation. In Tibetan dream yoga, practitioners train to stay conscious during dreams, using light and dissolution imagery to prepare for death. Both traditions see sleep and death not as breaks, but as opportunities for energetic transformation. 15th century Rosicrucians reviewed their day backward each night, not to judge, but to clear out leftover energy and negative patterns. They ended with an image of their body wrapped in geometric light, floating in a glowing space, surrendering to the perfect divine pattern. This allowed their bodies to rebuild each night based on a pure original design, not old habits, traumas, or mental clutter. Modern science shows that the brain in the transition from wakefulness to sleep, called hypnagogia, is very flexible. During this time, subtle inputs like words, images, or feelings can reshape brain connections, strengthen healthy habits, and weaken harmful ones. Today, techniques like clinical hypnosis use this window to reduce pain, speed healing, and boost immunity. The grimoire offers a simple 3-step method anyone can use, though it takes steady practice. Step 1. Body dissolution by parts. Each night before bed, spend about 1 minute focusing on each part of your body in this order, saying the following phrases quietly or in your mind. Feet. I release my bond with the earth and return it to balance. Legs. You supported me today. Now I entrust you to repair. Pelvis. I store vital energy here. Now it may rest. Abdomen. I processed life here. Now I empty myself of noise. Chest. I breathed emotions. Now I breathe light. Hands. You gave and received. Now you rest open. Neck and throat. I spoke the necessary and unnecessary. I let truth reorder my words. Face and head. I thought, saw, judged. I let silence remake the original order. This isn't about repeating affirmations or just relaxing. It's about slowly letting go of the day's tensions and identities, leaving your body neutral and ready for deep renewal. Step 2. Nighttime vibrational invocation. Right before you fall asleep, quietly or in your mind, say a personal sequence of sacred names, special phrases, or meaningful words. Van Bergen used this. Ego in lumine errori corpus meum accipit formam divinam. Renasco en la luz. Mi cuerpo recibe forma divina. Say these words in sync with your breathing. Even if you don't hear yourself out loud, feel the vibration inside. Matching your voice and breath helps you slip deeper into restorative deep sleep. Step 3. Rebuilding the body's pattern. Before you fully let go and fall asleep, picture your body wrapped in golden geometric shapes. Perfect symmetry, healthy tissue, fully working parts, and strong. This isn't just imagination. It's remembering your original, healthy form before injury or damage. Hold this image for a few seconds, then let yourself drift to sleep. With practice, this visualization will last longer and even become part of your dreams. For the first 21 nights, keep a simple journal tracking. Sleep quality, how deep and restful it feels. Your feelings when you wake up, clear, anxious, hopeful, or tired. Any body pain in the morning, where and how bad. The goal isn't to be perfect right away, but to watch how your body reacts when your spirit gives clear instructions. In this approach, living longer isn't just about years, but about how many nights your body has been rebuilt by this sacred pattern, instead of being worn down by daily stress. Sleep becomes a secret ritual, a technical meeting of the visible body and the eternal spirit. Done without superstition or magical thinking, this nightly practice reminds us that death isn't just something to fear, but the soul's chance to remake itself in its highest form. Epilogue. Passing the legacy. Sharing and practicing the grimoire passes from teacher to student. Marcus's father didn't die with his body whole. He lost mobility, sight, and strength. But he died with something more important: clarity. Take charge of the fire, don't suppress it, he said. Marcus understood this meant balancing word and silence, love and anger, truth and doubt. In that last moment, when the body fails but the mind rises, lies the true inheritance. It's not the body that must last, but the guiding word. Deep healing isn't about reversing cells or stopping aging. It's remembering that the body was never the final goal, but a vessel for a higher energy code. This book has shown laws not as strict rules or outside beliefs, but as practical guides for how spirit and matter work together. It all comes down to one idea. The word, when truly alive, creates, changes, breaks down, or rebuilds. Not through willpower, but through consciousness that no longer needs to prove itself because it remembers its source. If you've made it this far, you're not just a reader. You're a quiet heir, not of secret knowledge locked away, but of a practical practice you activate through your own effort. The grimoire is just a container. What matters is how the word spoken from your inner center reshapes your world. So the legacy isn't passed by reading alone, but by igniting a spark inside. The big question is, how do you share this fire without forcing it? How do you pass on a living practice without it becoming an empty ritual? How do you support someone, your child, the sick, or the dying, without taking over their journey, stealing their struggle, or directing their path? The answer, as the grimoire's final words show, isn't to control others, but to offer a vibrational direction. I come not to save bodies, but to awaken souls. This is a direct translation from the original Latin. Speaking to others, especially those you care about, isn't about programming them, but giving them a word that protects without trapping them. Saying, "You may invite peace," is very different from forcing silence. Supporting someone who is sick isn't about deciding their health for them, but creating a space where their body can choose to remember its original, healthy state, without pressure or stress from outside. Leaving a legacy isn't about making a fixed plan, but charging objects, words, and places with an energetic guide that the person can use when the time is right. The grimoire isn't handed down like a simple instruction manual. It's left vibrating, and those who are ready will recognize it naturally. To make sure the practice goes beyond just understanding ideas to real, repeatable change, a flexible daily routine is suggested. Unlike formal rituals aimed at outside forces, these actions help you connect with your own creative center, the living word, inside you. In the morning, activating your word is key. It's not about repeating phrases, but stating a clear, present-time command that refers to yourself. It should sound confident and free of extra emotion or trying to convince. Your words should match deep breathing from your belly and chest, with a matching body movement, so your body feels the command before your mind thinks about it. During the day, stay alert to how you speak. Pay attention to the energy behind your words, not to judge yourself, but to notice which phrases cause tension or emotional conflict in your body. At sunset, use the idea of restorative geometry. Focus on your spine as the center, and picture spirals, triangles, circles, or mandalas inside to help your body find its natural balance. Mix gentle movement with sound or focused breathing. At night, do the ritual of letting go and rebuilding your body according to the perfect pattern. Release your hold on body parts. Say their vibrational names. Offer your body to its highest form, and go to sleep as someone allowing themselves to be renewed. These 4 steps aren't a strict method, but a flexible inner structure that keeps 4 key ideas alive: conscious word, steady breath, healing shapes, and surrender to renewal. Anyone who practices this regularly will notice real changes, not just in their body, but in their relationships, choices, and overall life feeling. It's also recommended to form small practice groups where people don't debate or analyze ideas, but share honest observations about their bodies, sleep, speech, relationships, and symptoms. The goal isn't to interpret the book, but to activate your own word, connected with others' energy. Keep records carefully and respectfully. Don't use your experiences as proof or try to force results. And don't reduce everything to clinical terms. Just note what you noticed, how your body felt before, what phrase you said, how saying it felt, and what changed after 3, 7, and 21 days. Real transmission of the grimoire depends on action, not just reading. Someone who reads without putting the practice into motion gains nothing. Someone who truly activates their word carries the fire inside. Responsibility is total, not because you obey an outside master, but because every conscious word you speak reshapes part of the world. In that reshaped world, bodies will likely heal. And even if they don't, the real healing, the renewed consciousness behind it all, has already risen.